A love that crossed lines. Colton Reyes had built his empire from scratch. The son of a fisherman from Maine, he clawed his way into Silicon Valley, built an AI security firm, and earned his first billion by 30. But with success came scrutiny, and expectations. His board, his investors, even the press, they all expected a polished, perfect image. So when he fell in love with Nia, a Brooklyn-born schoolteacher and community organizer, a woman who had never cared about his money, and didn't look like the models he'd once dated, the world was stunned. Nia was black, proudly so. She had natural curls, deep brown eyes that read your soul, and a voice that melted anxiety. She made Colton feel human. Alive. Real. They married quietly in a private ceremony under the stars in her hometown church. There was no PR, no headlines, just two hearts who believed love was stronger than anything. The weight of a billion eyes. But reality didn't care for love stories. Within months, Colton was under pressure. Shareholders complained his image was hurting the brand. Tabloids mocked him. Billionaire marries Brooklyn nobody was splashed across every screen. Rumors circulated that Nia was using him, that she was after his fortune. Board members threatened to pull out. A major investor walked. Colton, who had always been proud of going against the grain, began to crack. Then came the gala, the company's 10-year anniversary, a star-studded event broadcast live on all media platforms. Nia arrived, radiant, excited to support her husband. Instead, she became part of a cruel strategy. Standing before the world, Colton announced he was ending the marriage. "Our paths are no longer aligned," he said with cold detachment. "This relationship is over." Nia didn't cry. She didn't beg. She left the stage with silent dignity. And that night, alone in a hotel bathroom, she took a pregnancy test she'd been too nervous to use for weeks. It was positive. Nia didn't call him. Didn't tell anyone. She vanished from the media, from his life, and from the city. She returned to her roots, her aunt's quiet house in Savannah, Georgia, where she taught local children, planted vegetables in the backyard, and watched her belly grow with equal parts wonder and sorrow. Meanwhile, Colton spiraled. The PR win was short-lived. Stocks rose, but his nights were empty. His mansion echoed. His inbox was full of congratulations from people he didn't respect. He missed her laugh. Her cooking. The way she'd press her hand to his chest when he was anxious and say, "Still human." He Googled her constantly. No results. She had disappeared as if the universe had erased her to teach him a lesson. A glimpse of the past, a whiff of the future. One morning, nearly 7 months later, Colton took a rare break and visited a local tech summit in Atlanta. A speaker had cancelled, and in her place stepped in a warm, passionate educator leading a youth coding project in Georgia. It was Nia. She looked radiant and healthy, glowing even. And visibly pregnant. Colton felt the earth crack beneath his feet. He didn't confront her publicly. Instead, he waited in the parking lot, rehearsing apologies that felt pitiful and empty. When she walked to her car, she spotted him instantly. "Colton," she said calmly. "You should go." "I didn't know," he began, choking. "You never asked," she said, unlocking the door. "Nia, please. Is it mine?" She paused. "It's ours. But it's mine to protect now." She drove away without looking back. Regret has a name. The next weeks were torture. Colton tried everything, letters, lawyers, private investigators, but Nia wanted no contact. She wasn't after his money. She didn't want revenge. She just wanted peace. Colton found himself returning to Savannah, parking across from the community center she helped run. He watched her from afar as she taught children, her baby bump stretching under her sweater. She was glowing. He realized he hadn't just lost a wife or a child. He had lost the best parts of himself. The emergency call. One rainy night, a call came to his assistant's phone from an unknown number. Colton's name had been listed as a last resort emergency contact. Nia had collapsed during a class. She was rushed to the hospital. There were complications. Her blood pressure was dangerously high. Colton's world stopped. He chartered a jet and landed in Savannah before dawn, his heart beating in terror. At the hospital, he saw her unconscious, machines humming around her, and doctors speaking in grave tones. But beside her was something new, a monitor. A heartbeat. The baby was alive. He spent the next 20 hours at her bedside, holding her hand, whispering apologies into her unconscious ears, praying for a second chance. Forgiveness doesn't come easy. Nia woke. Her first words weren't about the pain, the baby, or the chaos. She simply whispered, "Why did you destroy us?" Colton wept. In halting, broken words, he told her the truth, that he had let fear win. That he had been a coward. That he had thought protecting his company meant sacrificing his heart. "I was wrong," he said. "I thought I had to choose between love and legacy, but I didn't realize you were my legacy." She didn't answer. But she didn't let go of his hand either. New life, new meaning. 3 days later, a beautiful baby boy was born. Brown skin, sleepy eyes, and a head full of curls. They named him Elijah. Colton held him and sobbed, not because of guilt or fear, but because of hope. Something he hadn't felt in a long time. He made a quiet vow, this child would never feel unworthy. Never feel abandoned. He would raise him not with money, but with presence. A different kind of public statement. 6 months later, Colton stood before cameras again. But this time, it wasn't to push Nia away, it was to honor her. In a press conference broadcast worldwide, he announced the creation of the Elijah Foundation, a multi-million-dollar initiative to support black educators, single mothers, and underfunded community centers across the U.S. He publicly thanked Nia for showing him what true strength looked like. Then he surprised everyone. "The greatest return on investment I've ever made wasn't a merger or a tech firm, it was the day I loved someone with nothing to offer but her heart." The world gasped again, but this time, in admiration. Love, the second time around. Colton didn't ask Nia to come back. He earned it. He moved to Georgia part-time. Attended Elijah's doctor visits. Changed diapers. Brought breakfast to the community center. He showed up. And slowly, she began to trust him again, not because he was rich, but because he was real. One afternoon, Elijah took his first steps, toward his father. And Nia, watching them both, whispered, "Maybe, we start again." Colton smiled, tears in his eyes. From the beginning. Love isn't about perfection. It's about presence. And sometimes, the richest man is the one who learns how to say, "I'm sorry," and proves it, every day.